So unless you're in a business which is probably like Infosys, for example, which would cut across multiple domains, which would cut across anything that is produced or makes money, whether I'm making a coat or a plastic tube, or I'm running a flight business, software is required, you know. But having said that, even somebody like Wipro today is diversifying into multiple lines of businesses like FMCGs or windows or fans or whatever have you, you know. So I think that's a very personal sort of a question. So it depends upon what acumen you have, what dream you have in terms of the vision of taking your company forward. And I'll probably...
Sure. Yeah. So now, what's the overall next step and, you know, vision for Train Big? You know, how big do you see this happening when you're talking about, you know, that you started with Tatas, which is very interesting.
Sure. Yeah?
So how is it going to evolve according to you? You know, what's your next story going to be around?
I think, you know, I identified a gap. I feel I identified a gap. And I'm trying to fill it with something which I don't know if anybody has done this in India before. So in that sense, it is a slightly more risky proposition. But I'll tell you why and where I actually really sold myself to this. I picked up my satchel, I picked up my bag, and I went to a few coaching centers. So you go to Dadar station, you walk into one of the buildings opposite Dadar station that has 40 or 50 different coaching classes in them. And you'll see about a 400 to 500 square foot area. Okay, and you walk in, you'll see about 7 to 8 computers lying over there, maybe a staff of 2 to 3 people. You ask them, what do you teach? And in turn, they'll ask you, what do you want to learn? And they'll present a restaurant style menu card in front of you with 50 different courses listed, and they'll claim to teach you right from your English speaking to hardware networking to C programming to animation to whatever you want, they'll teach you. And clearly there is not really any teaching going on over there. But what works over there is an entrepreneur with a limited amount of capital of maybe 4 to 6 lakh rupees who's invested in creating this small infrastructure, who thought that he will do good, who thought that he will make a business out of teaching, you know, individuals towards anything that would make them, you know, employable. But he's got caught into so many things, right from marketing and creating a name for himself, to solving faculty problems, to solving, you know, technology problems, so many issues. So what we thought was that there are lakhs and lakhs of these disorganized 500 square foot centers all across the country. What if technology could be used to integrate all of them? By a centralized teaching system, by a centralized registration system, by a centralized testing system, by giving them a certification or a degree which is recognized by the government. So that's sort of the thought process that we started off with. So I am super excited. You know, I'm literally on the first day of my marriage right now with this venture, and whether it succeeds or not is to be seen. You know, I can't really talk about that.
Obviously, no, this is super. So I think, guys, this is an example of how you can dig out with an insight from what is existing today, rather than just worrying about what can I create new, but still in the process create something which is non-existent. Yeah, and this, to my mind, is what the opportunity in India today is all about. 95% of this country is unorganized, right?
Right.
All you need is a meaningful model and the right execution skills to be able to organize. You've got a business going for you. Testimony is a group like Tata's has, you know, backed him up. So this is great stuff. I think we all wish you all the success in making Train Big big.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is super. So I think this is great. Out here I'm being told that it's past dinner time, but we need to ask a few questions. Q&A. Yes, there we go.
Yeah. Sure. I would say that, first of all, I can't animate to save my life. I have worked on a few animated films like I spoke about, but that was more on the business development side of it, and I was interacting very closely with the animation studios to which Universal Pictures was outsourcing the work to. So I understood the process of creating a piece of animation quite well, but I still till today cannot operate a software or sketch. I can't do any of those things. So when it comes to businesses which are very techno-savvy, I think you need to have a good understanding of the pipeline. You need to have a good understanding and a bird's eye view of how the whole process is going to flow. But if you are about to start an IT company and you need to code, I don't think that is a skill set that's required by an entrepreneur. You need to have management skills. You need to be able to identify and hire the right kind of people, have the right mix of the product, and have successful delivery times. So management skills and a bird's eye view of the process and pipeline is what you require, which actually I think industrial engineering is a very good combination of. It's not pure just hardcore technical engineering as I understand, but it's integrating business with engineering. Am I right about that? Okay.
Question, speaker to speaker. One second, speaker to speaker.
From one question I have, sorry, from myself to you is, I guess this what you're doing, what I'm doing is called almost like a cappuccino effect. That's what it's called, right? When you go to a country and ask for a cappuccino, it's called the cappuccino effect. And you get what you ask for. It shows that whatever has happened in the Western thing is landing up in that country too. So today all of us can go to a Cafe Coffee Day, which is a homegrown brand, and all of us mostly ask for cappuccino, which means whatever is there is going to come here, and which is what you have banged on and what I have banged on, because animation as a business model there, and a kids decor store as a business model there has worked, and we as entrepreneurs have kind of caught on.
Right.
And my question to you is, literally, I guess many of these young entrepreneurs here are going to be looking at the same effect, where in India we say that we jump stages. We don't achieve all the milestones, like children don't crawl anymore these days, they walk. We never went through the GSM technology in phone, we jumped directly to 3G, whatever. So is that a worry for you as an entrepreneur? Because do you think we're going to be so ahead of time, in some of the things that we come up with, that we may actually lose out than, gain from it? Would that be one of the things, like you're doing animation? I mean, literally my father would say that a geek does animation.
Right.
Like, exactly like how he didn't let me take up dance. So when we are in such culturally we seem to have stayed, where we are, but does this worry you as an entrepreneur that we may be too ahead of times, and maybe these young entrepreneurs may be thinking of ideas, wahan pe kaam kiya to yahan pe bhi aayega ek din, and do you think they're going to lose out?
I don't know how we would lose out as entrepreneurs or as a nation as a whole. Of course, the amount of time it took, say, a Western country, let us take US for example, to develop the animation technology. Let's just take that for an example, or the coffee drinking culture. I guess that was a little bit more imbibed in their classical roots. But animation, somewhere around 1920s, was started by Walt Disney. It took them about 80 years to where they are today, which is a very, very high-end and great storytelling using the animation art form. I don't think it's going to take that long in India, because today we are living in a different world altogether. They did not have computers, they did not have all the technological tools, they did not have all that was required. So if there is going to be a space age out there, if we are ever going to live into a Star Trek world, a few decades from today, I don't see anything wrong with that. So
no, I'm not saying that there is anything wrong. My question is, would that be one of the things to question yourself before you embark on something? Is, are you too ahead of times that you're actually, harming?
Right.
If you take an idea, like, what are the parameters you would look for? Wahan pe hai, kaam kiya hai, to, like you said, animation.
Sure.